How y'all doing? Now I'm back again with another video, and if you recall, I made a video a while back about how to use a filter in ffmpeg to put the text onto videos called Drawtext. Well, um, positioning the text on there can be a little kind of trial and error thing. So I wanted to write a script that allowed me to use it a little more easily. Um, I have a lot of this is basically just kind of repeating the same arguments that you can pass into it, like the text size, stuff like that, but with a format that I find easier, as well as me having some presets for different text positions in the video. And today I'm going to go over that script with you and show you how I used it recently. Before we get started, um, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do me a favor and subscribe. And one warning ahead of time, I might, if I'm doing stuff with my hands, I might be a little slow today. As you can see, I had this little shit had a bit of an incident yesterday for some reason, and I caught the brunt of it. So I'm operating my hands with a bit of a limited efficiency. So with that, let me show you the goods. So we got my script here, and I just called it draw text. And this script is a little more comprehensive than most of the other ones I've been showing you at this point. You see, it's got a lot of different arguments, a lot of different, and I even have some functions defined to more easily generate some of the draw text arguments for me. So you will see if we go to the very start of this, some of these arguments look similar if you've seen some of my other scripts. You have the input file, the output file. Text will be the actual text you want drawn onto the video. This is the color of the text. Ow, don't bite my finger, you asshole. Uh, this is what font to use. This is the position of the text. You'll notice I'm not like passing in like a specific X and Y coordinate. I may change it so you can do that later, but I tend to want to set the text in very specific places. It's like the center, top of it, bottom of it, left, right, stuff like that. So I'm just kind of passing in like a keyword to use. This is the size. This is the alpha, so like how transparent the text is. This is whether to draw a box behind the text. What color is the box? What transparency is the box? This is for the text shadow for the text. What color? How transparent is it? It's offset. And these two I have for kind of specific use cases in the script. So render, if I don't set render, what it'll do is instead of processing the input file with ffmpeg and creating a new file, it'll just allow me to preview what it'll look like with ffplay. I found this very useful whenever I was doing a lot of trial and error making another like Fiverr promo vid. Filter graph. So I think I'm going to start a process where um, some of these more complex filters that have a lot of arguments and a lot of different ways to use them. I may want to use a script like this to basically just generate a string that would represent that filter in an ffmpeg command. So if I pass in this filter graph option, rather than running any command at all, it'll just spit back out the generated draw text filter that I can use in a part of a larger ffmpeg command. Can you not bite my bandages that you gave me yesterday, you asshole? These are the position defaults. So top, bottom, left, right, center, they should be self-explanatory. If you remember the draw text video, they're making use of some of the keywords that are available when you're using these. So you'll see a W. W is the width of the entire video. TW is the width of the text. So basically what this is saying is take the width of the video, subtract the width of the text, and then divide that by 2, which basically gives you like half, like the center. So you'll see the center is basically the center for both X and Y. And most of these are just variations of that, where you either do or don't. I found a boo-boo. This should not be this. Why is this? I probably made a boo-boo whenever I was trying to mess with this yesterday. I think. Yeah, okay. So you'll see a bunch of functions defined here. For the most part, like these later ones, they're just basically echoing out the option that the draw text filter wants. So like get text color arg is just echoing out the option that draw text wants, which is called font color, and then it's setting it equal to whatever color the text was set to based on arguments. Now these up here are a little different for a specific reason. So both for the font and the text, rather than giving it like in the case of text, you can either just give it a string of text, or you can actually give it a text file that it reads and then overlays over your video. So what I wanted to do was, I didn't want to have two different options for that. I just wanted to check, okay, the thing that you gave me for the font, is it just text or is it actually a file? If it's a file, I want to use the font file option to set what font to use. If it's just the name of a font, just use the font option. Same thing with text. If it's not a file, if it's just a string of text, use the text option. But if it's a file, I want to use the text file option so it reads it in. As I said, a lot of these are just they're just spitting out the string representation of what draw text wants as an argument. Text args. This is where instead of setting like an x and y position, I'm saying to give me a position, and this is basically a what you in a lot of other programming languages is a switch statement, where you're basically saying I want to evaluate this variable, this data, and based on what it is, I want to do something. So if it's top, I am returning that string representation that basically gives you the coordinates for the top of the video, bottom, left, right, center. And then this last one's a wildcard, basically saying if it doesn't match any of these, match it on this. And I could have this throw an error, but since I'm basically the one using the script, I'm just saying if I didn't pass in anything, just default to the center of the video. These are all the same. So BoxColor in the ffmpeg documentation for like saying what colors you want, there's a part there that says in most of the times that you can name the color by this like a static color name, but then you can after it you can put this little @ symbol, which basically represents the alpha or transparency. So you'll see for I think both BoxColor and shadow color that rather than having like separate functions to generate like two different variables, like these go in the same argument. So I'm just saying, give me the box color that's using the color of the box given, as well as whatever transparency I have indicated at this point. What is this? So for shadow color, if I wanted to specifically control what the alpha, the transparency of the text shadow itself was separately, I'm doing this check. And what this check is saying is text shadow, this variable, is it empty? Because by default it's empty. And if it's empty, just set it equal to whatever the transparency of the actual text is. And then it just returns the option. So this is what is actually using all of those functions above to generate this big chunky draw text filter string. And it's used for three different purposes. So we have this RenderText function, and you'll see I'm checking that, did you give me an output file? Because if there's no output, I can't actually write the file out anywhere. And instead of having like this big gargantuan string of text here, all it's doing is just substituting the result of that build draw text filter function, which will create that big long filter instead of having to explicitly write it out every time. and then it's just exiting. Preview text, this is what happens if render is not enabled. So instead of using ffplay or ffmpeg, it'll just preview it with ffplay, which is really handy. You'll notice I'm not checking if there's an output in this case because you're not writing out a file, so whether you gave me an output doesn't matter in this case. This is basically looping over the arguments passed into the script, and you have another case statement. And so when you see this, this is basically like a fuzzy match. So if the option looks like -I equals then something, or -- input equals something, do this particular this particular case, which this is for the input, and it's setting the value of that input variable to this is it's some kind of syntax in shell. I forget exactly what it means, but it's basically saying like, give me everything past the equals symbol. So like if I gave you like a name of a like if I passed in like -I equals some name of a file, this will set it equal to the name of the file. Then I use shift to remove this from the list because it's processed and we don't need it anymore. And then this double semicolon basically means this is the end of the case statement. And then it's all of these look almost exactly the same. It's just which variable is it assigning the value to. I don't remember if any of these actually have anything different. I don't think they do. Yeah, okay, so the ones down here at the bottom are like booleans, like as in like on off. These are for the render and the filter graph settings. So when I run this script, if I pass in, I can't talk today, pass in -R, it will use ffmpeg to write it out rather than using ffplay to preview it. And if I pass in this -fg, instead of doing anything like ffplay or ffmpeg, it will just return the generated draw text filter string. And then for everything else, I'm just ignoring it at this point because, again, this is meant for me to use. I'm just sharing in case someone else wants to use it. A better practice I've been told is to like throw an error if there was invalid options given. But again, this is meant for me to use, so I'm fine with this for right now. Then we get down here. I'm checking whether if there was any text given. If there's not, none of this shit works. Period. So throw an error. So if the filter graph flag was passed in and turned on, rather than doing anything else, I just want to basically print out to the console the result of building the draw text filter and then just stopping. That's it. And I even have it commented here. This is in case I want to generate the draw text filter to use in a bigger ffmpeg command rather than just running it from the script directly. Excuse me. If we're past that point, that assumes I'm going to need an input to do either ffplay or ffmpeg. And if you didn't give me an input, throw an error. And then the last case statement on render, if render is 0, which by default it is, it's going to execute the preview text function, which again will just use ffplay. If it's 1, meaning turned on, essentially, it's going to actually use ffmpeg to write it out to a file. And if there's if it's something else entirely for some reason, just use preview, and then that's the end of the script. So let me show you an example of what it looks like to use this. And I believe I have this in my history somewhere. Let me go to this, yeah. So I'm gonna flip back through here and you'll see it in a second. Okay, so this is me actually using my fat face is in the way. Okay, this is me actually using the that script to take a example recording, overlay it onto it. I don't want to use that one actually. I want to use. How do you do that? I want to do the one that actually has text, not the. Okay. So this is going to be using. Let me just open this up and. Yeah, okay. This is just opening up an example recording, and I'm passing in the text to overlay onto it is original. -ts is text size, and I'm setting it to 200. -tp is text position, and I'm setting it to the top of the video. -tsc is text shadow color, and I'm setting it to black. Text shadow x offset is 10, and tsy text shadow offset y is 10. The text color is white, and the text font I'm using is this thing I use in my thumbnails called like Bebas Newe. I don't know how you say that. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like to run this. So if I run this, you will see the recording come up in FF Play because I am not patching in render. And you should see that text original in the top of the video rather large with a, kind of like a box shadow effect. See, here you go. You can ignore all this crap. It's just reading the stream. So let's say that I'm not actually going to run it. If I actually wanted to write this out to a file, for one thing, I would need to use -o to indicate what the path of the output I want it to be is. So like in this case, I'd be like, I don't know, like fiverr trim overlaid, okay, something like that. And then I would use -r to say I want to render this out to a file. Now, if I want to use this as part of a bigger ffmpeg command, all I gotta do is pass in this defg, and it's just going to spit out that big, I broke something, didn't I? Baby. Apparently I broke something when I was messing with the door. Okay, whatever. You will see that it spit out the filter it would have used if I had said to use FFplay or ffmpeg, but it just spit it out so that I could grab this output and use it somewhere else. Whatever, I'll check it later. So there you go. This is my little convenience script that I wrote to use the Drawtext filter a little easier. Actually, just to show you the positioning thing, I will change this from top to pick bottom. And you will see that it should appear at the bottom of the video this time instead of the top. Let me move my face time. This one? Okay. Run this, and there you go. Video's at the video. The text is at the bottom. If I want to have it be at the left-hand side, it would be left click. Like I said, I'm typoing like crazy because I can't use my pinky. This. Oop, I broke. Oh, I think that's the one that I realized I broke and didn't actually fix it. Whatever. Well, I have a boo-boo to fix. Maybe I'll fix that real fast too. So right should work. Okay. So there you go. It's on the right hand side. You know what? Let's actually fix that bug real quick. Go back. Can I get my bruh? Okay, there we go. We go back up here. It was left. I broke left. How did I break left? Y equals. It's this. Go away. For some reason I had an extra parenthesis there. If I try some more time, or just give me left. Okay, there you go. This is how I was using it to highlight in the Fiverr video, like the version of the recording before I ran my silence trimming automation script on it, and then the version after that, which would show, hey, this is what it looked like after I ran my script on it, had it all silence trimmed out. So I think that's all I got for you today. I just thought maybe, and also this is probably the first time I've read like more comprehensive shell script. So I thought maybe if somebody was kind of wanting to learn more about how to write a more comprehensive shell script, that this would be pretty interesting to watch. So that's all I got for you today. If you liked the video, drop me a like, subscribe. I think it'd be helpful for someone else to share. If you have any questions about why I did certain things or how I plan on using it, comment down below and I'll do my best to answer. If you are interested in following me on other platforms, I got Twitter, and I got a Discord server that you can join if you want to just come in there and shoot the shit, talk. If you would like to support the channel, which would be amazing, by the way, I got links down there below that you can do that as well. And with that, y'all come on back, and I'll see you next time.